Hi everyone, it's Keren here from tuppencecoloured.co.uk. Thank you very much for joining me today. This is the card that I've been making today. On the outside it just looks like a normal card, maybe a little bit thicker than most, but when you open it up the magic happens and it's a pop-up spinner card. So if you stay with me I will show you how I made it. I've done some cutting out and layering up ahead of time because otherwise this video will be a very long one. So just to talk you through what I've already done. This is a piece of crumb cake which I've cut at 5.5 by 11. If I open it up you can see. And I scored this at 5 3/8 of an inch and 5 5/8 of an inch so that the edge of it, the fold of it, it's not a knife edge fold, it's more of a little box. Okay, and that's to accommodate the mechanism inside. And on the front of it I've cut some Watermelon Wonder to 5 by 5 and some of the affectionately yours DSP to 4 3/4 by 4 3/4, and I've just layered that up. Okay, so I'm going to put that on one side until I'm ready for it. And I've also got 2 panels of crumb cake which I've cut at, let me have a look, got my notes here, that's it, here they are, panels 2 3/4 by 5 inches, and the DSP is 2.5 by 4 3/4. So here are my notes so I don't forget anything. Okay, so again I'm going to put those to one side until I'm ready for them. Now for the mechanism, the bit that goes inside, I've got a piece of Watermelon Wonder and I've cut that at 5.5 by 10 3/4 and I've scored it at 5 3/8 of an inch. So it's just slightly narrower than my outer, and again that's to give room for the mechanism to work. Okay, now as I said I have copious notes because I'm going to need them. Now first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to do some marking up. I'm going to make some marks, and this is going to be the inside so nobody's going to see it. So I'm going to make a mark at 1/2 inch from the top and 1/2 inch from the bottom. So it's 1/2 inch and 5 inches. And then I'm also going to mark at 1.5 inches. And again 1.5 inches from the bottom, so that takes me to 4. So that's where I'm going to be cutting. Oh, and I'm also going to put a little mark that's 1/4 inch. Sorry, I've just marked 1/8 of an inch there. 1/4 inch in from those marks that I just made. Okay, and now I'm going to come across and measure to 1 3/4 inches, and I'm just going to draw a line right the way down. And now I'm going to join up the mark I made at 1/2 inch and the one I made at 1.5 inches from the bottom, and the one I made at 1/2 inch from the top, and the one I made at 1.5 inches from the bottom. I'm going to bring in my my stamping trimmer and I'm going to cut, because I'm going through 2 layers, I'm going to go forward and back, and that wasn't very straight at all. How sad, never mind. I want to make sure that I'm actually on the line, and cut there and back. Okay. I'm just going to line up. It would help if I actually put it where I could see it. That might actually help. And this last one's going to be a pain because, of course, actually, if I do it that way, ta-da! Right, if I open that out now, and I flip these forward, that is going to be the mechanism, the pop-up mechanism. I'm just going to, right, now to make the engine, to make it work, I'm going to put a dot that's about 1/2 inch from the centre seam at the back there, and on the same level I'm going to put one that is about, let me just check my notes, 3/4 of an inch in from this side. Okay. And I've got my handheld punch here, and I'm just going to make a hole there, and I'm going to bring that in and make another hole there. Okay, so far so good. And I have a kebab skewer and some tough scissors, and the kebab skewer, I'm just going to check, is going to go I have a kebab skewer and some tough scissors, and my kebab skewer is going to go through those little slits that I cut, under and over, and I want it to be pretty much the same length as my card, which is about there. And I'm just going to get my tough scissors. You notice I'm not using my my very good, whoops, that went fired across the room. So don't do that if there's anybody in the line of fire, guys. And that is now ready for later on. Okay, I'm just going to bring back one of the layers that I prepared earlier, and I'm going to stick that in place. I'm going to use fast fuse on this, which appears to have picked up some stray threads from somewhere. Flick. And I want this to stick, I want this bit to stick well. And the reason why I'm putting it on now is so that when I start to put the mechanism together, everything is in the right place. So turn that over, and can you see where my backing is? And I'm going to cut through with my punch. Now if I was using something like a crocodile, I could have just layered it up and then cut through all 3 pieces at the same time, but this doesn't have quite as much authority as a crocodile. So and I've got my kebab skewer in place, but it does move around a bit freely. So to stop that happen, I've made a couple of paper beads, and what I did was I cut a thin strip of my DSP, and I tried to make it into a long skinny triangle, and I just wound it round and round and round, a bit of skewer like this one here, and then just glued down the end. So that's all there is to that. And I'm just going to put a little blob of wet glue at this end of, let's get rid of a bit of rubbish, this end of the skewer, and I'm just going to put my bead on there, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the bead at the other end. So a little bit of wet glue onto my card there, and just put my paper bead. Now, if you've got suitably sized beads or buttons, then you could use those, of course you could. But I just didn't happen to have any that were suitable. So while that is drying, we'll go ahead and apply the other panel to the other side, and why not indeed. I have a piece of linen thread which is about, what, 20 inches long-ish, and I've cut more than I think I need, and I'm going to thread one end through the hole in this side of the card, and I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to tape it down with some tearing tape, because I want this to be stuck down quite well, because the twine is going to be what makes the central elements spin. And I'm going to wind this around my kebab skewer, oh, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. So I'll speed up this bit. So I'm going to thread the other end through the other hole, and I'm just going to close it all up, and make sure that it works nicely. I'm just going to stick down this end. And I'm not going to cut it off yet. I'm going to make sure that it's working. And it does, look at that. Fab. Using some stamps from this stamp set, which is called Badges and Banners, and I've already stamped up this stamp in Watermelon Wonder ink on crumb cake, and that one in Watermelon Wonder on crumb cake again. So those are going to go on the front of my card, and I want to make a spinner for my inside of my card. Oh, and I should say as well that we have these rather nifty punches, which is how come I punched out my shields and my banner. So I've got crumb cake ink, and my stamp is already mounted onto my block, and just press down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold it down to get a good transfer of colour. That's not particularly brilliant, so we'll try that one again, shall we? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a bit better. And I want 2 of these, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lovely. And I have a 1.5 inch circle punch, which just fits quite nicely around the outside, and I hope to left myself enough room on that one. Ooh, for a minute there I thought I'd stamped them too close together. But if I had, do you know what? I would have just turned my card over and stamped again on the other side. Alright. So this is going to be my spinning element in the middle of my card. Let me bring my mechanism back in here. So that is going to sit. I want to make sure they're both the same way up, because otherwise that would be embarrassing. And I'm going to just curl them slightly around the outside of my skewer. Now I could have put a different sentiment on the other side of this spinner if I'd wanted to, but I kind of thought I wouldn't. So I'm going to use liquid glue because I like the, I'll make sure I'm up and down, because I like the wiggle time that it gives me. And I'm just going to put a line of my liquid glue, my liquid adhesive, up and around the top of that. I'm just going to bring that in to make sure that I have, yes, got that the right way up, because if it's not, that's going to be embarrassing. And also that it will spin freely, because I want to make sure I don't foul that mechanism there. Because when I first tried the prototype, I wanted to have the shield spinning, and I found that while it was a wonderful idea, they tended to catch on this mechanism here. They were just a little bit too big. So there was a quick change of design direction. And I'm thinking now that maybe I should have done this in the other colourway. Maybe I should have done this in crumb cake with watermelon wonder stamping on it, but it is what it is. So, stay boy, stay. There we go. There we are. And that works. So while the inside is setting up, we may as well turn our attention to the front of the card. And let's bring back in these pieces and start doing some sticking and layering. So we'll use so we've got some dimensionals. Okay. And I'm going to pop that fairly centrally in the middle of my card. How is that going to sit? It's going to be like that. So I want to put the dimensionals pretty much in the middle of that banner. And that fits on nicely. Okay, that's a little bit stark and bare for me. I want to have a little bit more decoration on the front of my card. So I've gone through my my bits box, and I've pulled out some of the fronds and the flowers that I cut with the botanical builders back a couple of months ago when I was having the cutting botanical builders for Britain basically. And I'm going to arrange these. I thought these would look rather nice, sort of like a laurel wreath around the around the shield. What do you think? So glue it. So I'm going to stick these pieces down. And again, wet glue is my friend. And I'm going to put on a few flowers as well, I think, just to cover up the joins a little bit. Right, okay, it's time to put the two parts together. So I've put tear and tape on to my card already, and I'm just going to put one side in place first. So we're going, I hope. So make sure now that that is oriented correctly, that that's the right way up. And this is the back of my card. I'm going to line up top and bottom of my card with my blank. Make sure that's in the middle, and I'm sorry that sorry if you're having trouble seeing this, but I really do need to be upright with it. So that's where I want it to be. Now I can take off the other strip of card and close that up and make sure that that's burnished down. And now the other side of the card should be much easier, because all I have to do is remove the backing of my tape, bring that over and just stick it down. And there is my pop-up twirl card. So here's a moment of truth. Does it work? Yes, it does! Way! So there is my finished card, and I thought that the inside looked a little bit bare. So because we've got lots of room in here, I put a flower in there as well. And as a matter of fact, I still have lots left in my stash. So I did go a bit bonkers cutting out all of my botanical builders flowers. So that is it for today. Thank you very, very much for joining me. If you have enjoyed this video, please do leave me a comment, leave me a thumbs up. If you want to find out more, my blog, my Facebook page and a link to my online shop are all underneath this video in the more information box. But that is it for today. Thank you very, very much for joining me, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.